The UFC has made some major announcements about all sorts of different fights that are pretty much confirmed now. We have Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev being almost confirmed. We have Diego Lopes versus Yair Rodriguez being confirmed for Mexico City headliner. And then we have some other stuff like the random Olberg rumors and Volkov rumors that Pereira was rumored, and that just got completely shut down. And then Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales, which is a massive test for Michael Morales. Leon Edwards, JDM reported for London. There's some massive fights lined up for 2025. We're going to talk about some of the news. Dylan, thoughts on Pereira finally getting confirmed for Ankalaev? This should have been a long time confirmed, but here we are.
Here's the thing is that I think that people are going to put this on Pereira for him saying that he was ducking and trying to put off his fight for as long as possible. Pereira was the one that was easy. You know, they just had to find this perfect time slot that fit into Princess Ankalaev's schedule, you know? The guy that is denied a fight with Pereira twice, and somehow it's Pereira who's the one that's getting all the shade for it, you know? And obviously with Ramadan, they had to work around that because Ankalaev, if he ain't going to take a fight on short notice, he ain't going to take a fight during Ramadan.
You know what's so funny? Somehow Ramadan is for such a short amount of time, yet it seems to ruin so many pay-per-views.
Like 3 months. Because they're not going to start a camp in Ramadan.
Exactly.
You know, you don't want it to be post-camp Ramadan. So it's like 6 months out of the year, you know.
Exactly.
Just no fights.
Yeah, and also just lining up like Abu Dhabi pay-per-views. Lots of times they're wanting to save Makhachev, Chimaev, Ankalaev for Abu Dhabi pay-per-views, which is fair enough, but then it also gives people like Alex Pereira and, you know, Drickus and people who are at those upper echelons who are potential matchups, it gives the other person limited options to when they can fight because Abu Dhabi is only twice a year.
Yeah, and I think that this is why, I think we both predicted that Pereira was going to fight Alberg before he was going to fight Ankalaev.
No, you predicted
only
that.
I did?
Yes, I'm not an idiot.
Well, I didn't know because Pereira was going to have to fight sooner than later. You know, they were going to need a 313 headliner.
Yes, I know.
And then I was like, I don't think that Ankalaev will fight at that point.
And this is looking like it's going to be soon, like 314, 313-ish. Again, who knows if Ankalaev said, screw it, I'm going to take the fight in Ramadan, or if they're doing it
You know Ankalaev? He ain't doing that. This dude is such a wuss.
Well, he might be fed up, you know? He might be fed up.
Well, he wasn't fed up when they offered him the fight twice before.
Exactly. He wasn't fed up that time, but he realizes maybe I should just do it.
Well, maybe he's realized it's his last chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know. I just cannot stand Ankalaev. The way that he wouldn't take that fight at 303 short notice when Pereira's coming in on short notice too.
We don't know all the negotiations though. You can't say for sure that it was one person or the other who was ducking unless it's confirmed.
All I know is one of them fought at 303.
Yes, one of them did fight at 303. And it was against Prohaska, which of course he took the fight.
Yeah.
And then 307 was also short notice-ish.
Yeah.
You know, they just couldn't find a good main event, so they gave Khalil Roundtree a shot.
Yeah.
So there is, you know, there's like certain fighters who you see repeatedly, they're willing to take risks. And over the course of Ankalaev's career, he has not been willing to take massive risks. Pereira has.
Yeah.
So it pays off. You know, it's like anything in life. Some people who are risky, they just get lucky because they take bigger risks, and it does pay off sometimes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, who's someone who's taken a short notice fight and it hasn't? Volk.
Oh,
Perfect example. He quite literally
Volk
ruined his career because of short notice, but that's the type of person he is. So you cannot diss them either way.
Yeah.
It just turned out wrong for one of them.
Can we talk about the Volkov rumors? That actually might have been the weirdest rumor that I've ever seen, but for some reason, every account posted it.
MMA Twitter is getting too crazy, all right?
We couldn't do the month with no UFC. We had to start making up Pereira versus Volkov.
Yeah, that was
like,
wild.
where does that come from?
I have no idea.
Pereira's not going up to heavyweight to not fight for the belt.
For the two belts.
There's 2 belts in heavyweight. He wasn't going to fight for either of them.
Let's talk about how we see the Ankalaev fight going against Pereira. Give me your early predictions. How does the fight play out?
All right. So obviously, first round, Ank's trying to shoot straight away.
Mm-hmm.
He's going shooting straight away. I think Pereira can hold him off for a little bit in the first round and, you know, keep that fight relatively on the feet and land the bigger strikes round 1. Ank finally gets him down round 2. We see Pereira being able to hold him off for a little bit, but Ank control time wins that one. Mm-hmm. Round 3, Ank goes back, wins that control time. But then round 4 and 5, Pereira gets back, flow state. comes out with the decision win.
Okay, I see it like this. So, judges, even if it is a close decision win, when was the last time you saw a close fight go the wrong way for the UFC?
Every single one.
It always goes the right way for the UFC.
Oh, for the UFC.
Yeah. For the company, the UFC company, it always goes in favor of them, who they want to win. Cyril Gane versus Volkov. Of course it went to Cyril Gane. Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Of course Sean Strickland didn't win. It always goes the way that favors the company. First round, I think Pereira is going to be quite tentative with his striking because he's not going to want to get taken down. Yeah. He's probably going to stay a lot with the kicks. We saw it early in the Roundtree fight. He was sticking with the head kicks and it did not work. So then he had to transition to the jab. So maybe we're going to see him just use the jab straight away because that seemed to work way better than anything else he was doing in the Roundtree fight. And it's also a very long jab. So he doesn't have a lot of risk of getting caught. Ankalaev, we know his game plan. It's going to be to wrestle. But when was the last time we saw him put in a high-level wrestling performance? This dude is not Chimaev. He's not Islam Makhachev. He's not Umar Nurmagomedov. He's not even close to the level that those guys are. Yeah. He's a mid-striker and a decent wrestler.
Yeah, he's good. He's good and good.
But that's not good enough.
Yeah, but people literally treat him like he's some elite striker. They treat him like he's Pereira on the feet and Khabib on the ground. Yeah. They're like, oh, nightmare matchup. Yeah, just as good of a striker and he's going to dominate him on the ground, tap him out in 10 seconds.
It's really not that easy. When was the last time he got a submission? I think he has one in his whole career with 19 wins. If you look at his stats, the dude has absolutely no finishing ability. So Pereira has been stalling for 2 years now. What do you think he's been working on? It's pretty easy to guess. He's been working on his the wrist control and also his ground game. We saw him training with Caio Borralho, who's a great grappler. He's getting so much different experience. He has ties to a lot of fighters because he is so well received, right? Yeah. He teaches them something about kickboxing and his checking the leg kicks, and it's just aura.
And now he's a fighting nerd, so he's got plot armor. He's got even more plot armor.
Yeah, he had plot armor before, and now it's just out of the...
All right, moving on. The next fight in the news, recently announced, Diego Lopes versus Yair Rodriguez to main event UFC Fight Night, Mexico City at the end of March. Lucas, I know you are not a fan of this.
It's a bad matchup.
Rant, sir.
It's a bad matchup. Why would you make this fight when Diego Lopes is ranked 3? Your second ranked person is Max Holloway, who's not even in the division. Your first ranked person is Volkanovski, who's gotten KO'd by the champ, and 3-1 on a 3-fight losing streak. Yeah. Or sorry, no, he did come back and win against Yair in the middle of that. So he is 3-1 in his last 4 fights. It's completely ridiculous because you have the chance of letting Yair Rodriguez ruin Diego Lopes, which is a real possibility because it's not likely. Diego Lopes should outclass him in the grappling. It's a very safe path to victory. We've seen Brian Ortega do it before. Yeah. We've seen Volk do it before. I think Diego Lopes could submit Yair Rodriguez. But what if Diego Lopes gasses himself out and Yair Rodriguez hits him with something crazy?
Yeah, I am scared of 5-round Lopes.
Yeah.
I don't love him in a 5-round fight.
I think it's good that he's getting experience in a 5-round fight because before he goes against someone like Topuria. But if you watch back the Brian Ortega fight, after 1 round, he was very tired.
Yeah.
Because he almost finished him. And I could see that happening again. He almost finishes Yair Rodriguez on the feet because he wants to test himself. And then he's gassed out and can't grapple very well.
Yeah, but one thing I did hear, though, that kind of was like, ooh, that kind of makes sense for the UFC's perspective, is if you give Ilia Topuria Diego Lopes, and Ilia goes and just dominates Lopes. Okay?
He will.
Yeah. Goes up to lightweight, leaves featherweight. Mm-hmm. Then you have Diego Lopes fighting Evloev for the belt, and say Lopes the champion, but then got absolutely dominated by the old champion. It's like, oh, this is a Mickey Mouse division now. You have one of your strongest divisions in the whole UFC. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is some fraud champion, So
yeah, no,
I think that you have to think about if Ilia's actually moving up to lightweight.
Look, nothing will be as bad as when Volk moved up for the first time, and you had Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett for the interim belt, and Yair Rodriguez was an interim champion, and they considered giving him a Mexican themed belt, an interim champion. They are down bad for a Mexican champion, and this proves it. Yair Rodriguez just should not be getting a shot up in the rankings again when he's coming off a loss to the guy who Diego Lopes just beat.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Yair Rodriguez dies to Ilya Tavoria.
Yes.
He gets murdered.
Everyone does.
Yeah. I mean, I'm confident enough in Diego Lopes that I think this is a good test. And, like, he probably could have just said no to a fight like this and just waited.
Yeah, he could.
But that's not Diego Lopes.
No, this could have been Yair Rodriguez versus
Josh Emmett again, or I don't know.
Yeah, run it back. It'd be fun.
Arnold Allen.
Yes, perfect. Arnold Allen, great matchup. Arnold Allen hasn't fought since 304. Get back in the ring or the octagon. Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales, UFC. Shut up. 314, April 12th. He is facing his biggest test, Gilbert Burns. It's going to be a good fight. Gilbert Burns has not looked good in his last two. Well, he looked good in the JDM fight. He just lost.
He's just getting older and slower.
Yes. What is he, like 38 now?
Especially when he's a welterweight that just looks like so big. Like he looks like...
Well, he's just muscular. He was a middleweight. He's not tall. He's very short.
He's short, but he looks like fat.
Yeah. He's just built like a Dorito chip. You know?
Yeah. I mean, if you're Michael Morales and you are legit, this is a win you have to get. Mm-hmm. This is your next stepping stone. You went, you made the rankings. Now it's time to prove yourself. Go beat Gilbert Burns, one of the gatekeepers of the top half of welterweight. You know, everyone who's in the top of welterweight has probably beaten Gilbert Burns or someone on the same caliber of Gilbert Burns.
Why does Gilbert Burns torture himself? Why does he do this?
He's like, oh, finally, I'm going to fraud check one of these guys. I'm going to fraud check one of them.
One day it'll come against nobody in the PFL.
Yeah, I think that this is a good fight to make, you know?
It is.
I'm not as high on Miles Morales as I am Protez, but I still think that Michael Morales is good.
Yeah, I think he's good enough to beat Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
But it's also a winnable fight for Burns.
100%.
It's very winnable for both
Just because
fighters.
we have not seen as much out of Morales' ground game against competition like a Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns could just completely dominate him in terms of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and he probably will just take him down and dominate him.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. UFC 314. That's a great feature fight, I would say. Right?
Yeah. Or even the second fight. Like it's probably a feature fight, but
it depending on how stacked it is.
Yeah.
Like we could have Topuria Volk on that card.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like, and I think people want to be on that card.
Yeah. Or even Pereira Ank, maybe.
Miami. Whew.
That would be a banger. Yeah.
Miami, they want to be on that card.
Hey, we should go. Meet some Miami baddies.
All right, finally, the last fight we want to talk about. The only one that hasn't not been Pereira and Ankalaev hasn't been confirmed, but it's confirmed that they're going to fight each other next. But the only fight that's still in like speculation, it's all but confirmed though at this point, is that Leon Edwards is going to main event UFC London in March against JDM.
Great matchup. I'm so much more excited for this than a Sean Brady fight because the Sean Brady fight was very winnable for Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
JDM fight is going to be very interesting because Leon Edwards...
It's going to be Leon versus Sean Brady. JDM's pulling out. He's getting hurt.
I could see that. But Leon Edwards needs to be more active if he wants to win this fight because JDM is going to be active.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be getting into the boxing pocket and piecing him up. So I'm worried that this is just going to be a Leon Edwards sit on the outside for 5 rounds because he's so good at that.
But it's tough for Leon because Leon wants to keep you at range. JDM wants to come inside.
Exactly.
Oh, they're hitting us with a timestamp. Oh, yep, at 14 minutes in the video. Pause.
No, we didn't mean it like that. I know what you mean, though, because they have completely...
You do know what I mean?
No. They have opposite styles in terms of striking, where one wants to box on the inside, one wants to kickbox on the outside. And Leon Edwards is a professional at keeping people on the outside, stuffing takedowns. I could see JDM maybe mixing in a takedown just to make him think about it. Once we saw what Bilal did, he says, I like. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to be an exciting fight.
Oh, 100%. And I hope that this doesn't get Leon Edwards right back into the title picture because there's so much talent at welterweight. It would just be a shame to have Leon Edwards go fight Bilal again if he wins against Shavkat.
Yeah.
Shavkat versus Leon could be interesting.
Can we talk about March, though? UFC 313, UFC London, and UFC Mexico City.
Yeah, that's going to be a banger.
Imagine we see like Brandon Moreno on that Mexico City card, too. All right, that is going to do it. It was a UFC news. We haven't done one of these in a couple months.
But there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, we had stuff to talk about. We got to waffle for 15 or so minutes, but let us know which of these fights you're looking forward to the most down in the comments. While you're down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. We appreciate all of you. Peace.
See ya.